Oh, it just jumped out. Good man.
Hello. Oh, it's really loud. Okay, so just because we're live streaming, we're going to, if you're going to speak, then we're going to ask you to talk into the microphone. So welcome to the 2019 Rope Skipping Canada Annual General Meeting. It is 1946 Mountain Standard Time, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Okay, so my name is Erin Gillespie. I am the current chair of Rope Skipping Alberta. I will introduce, sorry, Rope Skipping Canada. I'm trying to give away my duties. So I'm going to introduce from the end this way. So we'll start with Sam Ashley. Sam is vice chair. Sarah Miles, director at large. Cameron Short, Rope Skipping Nova Scotia representative. Emily Whitman, Jump Rope BC representative. Sarah Dabrowski, director at large. Mary Kish, director at large. Oh, or SORA. Sorry, it's really hard to keep them all straight. We are missing one of our individuals, who is Amy Cornett, who is the Rope Skipping Alberta representative. So just a couple of housekeeping things. So we are going to stick to the agenda tonight. So if you have an item that you would like to discuss that is not currently included on the agenda, we would ask that you wait until the end of the AGM until it is adjourned, and then we will do kind of like we did last year. We did a little bit of an open forum discussion following the AGM. So we're going to kind of try to get through the business of the meeting, and then once the business of the meeting is complete, we will take questions from the floor. Okay? Is there any questions about that? Okay, so voting rights. If you are a full member, then you have full voting rights within our organization according to our bylaws. If you're an associate member, you have voting rights as it states in our bylaws according to the Canada Not-for-Profit Act, which means you have voting rights on bylaw changes. So we have 3 bylaw proposed amendments up for discussion tonight, and you are allowed to vote on membership changes. We also have 1 membership change up for discussion tonight. So you are allowed to vote for those items. We would ask that if you're an associate member, you do not put your hand forward for any, to move or second any motions other than the 3 motions that are on the table relating to bylaws and the membership change. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so if there is no other questions, we're going to get moving along. So, confirmation of proxies and quorum. As per Article 20 of the Rope Skipping Canada bylaws, quorum at any meeting of the members shall be 25 full members. Attendance may either be in presence or by electronic or telephonic means. If quorum is present at the opening of a meeting of members, the members present may proceed with the business of the meeting, even if quorum is not present throughout the meeting. So that means if you decide to leave after this minute, then we can continue on. Also, as per Article 15 of the Rope Skipping Canada bylaws, a delegate entitled to vote at a meeting of the members may vote by proxy by appointing in writing a proxy holder and 1 or more alternate proxy holders who are required to be members to attend and act at the meeting in the manner and to the extent authorized by the proxy and with the authority conferred. So we have filled in the membership. So we have 44 full members and 14 associate members for a total of 58 members. And I didn't count the proxies. Oh, and Carly's here, so we have 45. Just give me 1 second because I didn't count the proxies. So we received 10 proxies. So we have 44 full members, well 45 with Carly. Hi Carly. 45 full members, 11 associate members, and 10 proxies for a total of 69 members. So we are okay to proceed. Okay, so first thing on the agenda, to approve the 2019 Annual General Meeting agenda as presented. Is there any questions about the agenda? So just to confirm, all of the information was sent out 21 days prior to the AGM on April 26th via electronic means. It was also posted to the Rope Skipping Canada website and has been there since April 26th. Okay, can I have someone move to approve the 2019 annual general meeting as presented? Deirdre de Gagne. Seconder? Thomas Cunningham. Anyone opposed? Good. Next meeting item is approval of the minutes of the previous annual general meeting. The motion on the table is to approve the 2018 annual general meeting minutes as presented. Can I have a mover? Dana Napick. Seconder? Thomas Cunningham. Anyone opposed? Great, moving on. So this is the first time that we've done this. Actually no, scrap that. We posted on the website the board of directors reports. So each provincial rep, as well as myself, the officials committee, and the registration committee, or registrar, I guess, myself, posted the reports of the board of directors on the website. If you haven't had a chance to read them, they're riveting. You should go on and read them. So the motion on the table is to accept and approve the 2018-2019 reports of the board of directors. Does anyone have any questions about the reports of the board of directors? Okay, can I have a mover? Jody Harrison. Seconder? Thomas Cunningham. Anyone opposed? Great. Okay, moving on. I'm just going to actually pull up the actions of the board of directors so that just in case individuals haven't had a chance to look at them online. So this is the first time that we've done this. What we've done is we've compiled all of the motions that have been approved at our board level over the last 12 months, and we've compiled them into a nice summary. All of these motions include every motion that has been made in our meetings, as well as any email motions. So this has been posted on the website since the 26th of April. One thing that did change, and it was updated last night, was we had an email motion to purchase some items for nationals this weekend, so this email motion was added. Basically, we're trying to be transparent and let everyone know what we're deciding, where we're spending our money, things that we have done over the last year. Are there any questions regarding the actions of the board of directors? Okay, motion on the table to accept and approve the 2018-2019 actions of the board of directors as presented. Seconder? Thomas? Anyone opposed? Great. So I'm just going to have a drink. So our financial year ended July 31st, 2018. The audited financial statements were presented and sent out with the notice of meeting. The motion on the table is to approve the audited financial statements ending July 31st, 2018. Can I have a mover? Thomas Cunningham, seconder. Jody Harrison. Anyone opposed? Yeah. No, it was only done through a third party. I believe it was audited.
So review is not an audit. So often when an organization uses this process, they'll use the external review agent, but an audit still needs to be conducted, and that can be by any two members just going through and signing it off. But because they're not audited financial statements, I don't think an approving as audit. They can be approved as review agent, as conducted by this company, with an internal audit to be done and reported on, let's say, to the board, so that we can come back to membership.
Okay, so we'll change the motion to approve the review engagement financial statements ending July 31st, 2018. Thomas is the mover. Seconder? Jody? Anyone opposed? Good. We will also put a task item on that to have.
Can I move to have the board of directors appoint 2 individuals to conduct an internal audit and report their findings to the board of directors? Actually, should be the board of directors on behalf of the membership. That's about autonomy to the board to say exact time.
We'll put before the end of this fiscal year, so July 31st. So Denise has moved that motion. Can I have a seconder? Anyone opposed? Okay. Okay, so generally speaking, we the board does not approve our next fiscal year budget until June and July of the current fiscal year. So our fiscal year begins August 31st of this year. But to be transparent, we wanted to present a budget. So the budget is here. Generally speaking, this budget is almost identical to the budgets for the last 6 years. I just wanted to highlight a few key things that. Oh, why is it not up there? Okay, so I just wanted to highlight a few key things. Let's see. That we've added, or I guess changed, as a budget line item for next year. So you will see an increase in our insurance premium. This is to account for our anticipated approval of our membership change to include clubs and PSOs within our membership structure. So what that means is we anticipate that our membership cost, or our insurance cost, will go up, but that will be reimbursed by the clubs and PSOs who are registering. So it looks like it's going to be more expensive, but we will recuperate that money through the registration of clubs and PSOs. The next thing that you'll see is this line item here called the Nationwide Representation Project. This is $7,500, which has historically been around $2,000. You'll see that we've kind of labeled this as policy creation to meet Sport Canada requirements, help to new PSOs requiring help with bylaws or organizational structure, and translation of some of our Rope Skipping Canada documents. So what we've done is we've allocated money that has historically been allocated to a board retreat to try to get some of these initiatives off the ground. We are hoping that we will be able to move forward with a lot of the policies that we require for Sport Canada. There's a number of them, as well as one of the Sport Canada requirements is that we have to have all of our policies in English and in French. And so none of us board members feel comfortable to translate our current documents from English to French, and so we need to kind of find a third party to do that. So we've kind of combined 2 or 3 line items into nationwide representation, and we've allocated $7,500 towards that for the next year. An additional item that you'll see that is a little bit higher is judges training. So we are anticipating a big overhaul to the judges training system that will be required for next year. So we've allocated $1,500 towards this item to ensure that we have our 2 individuals who are going to get trained as judge trainers for IGRU to be able to send them to the varying provinces across the country. Additionally, we've added in a $2,000 line item for international representation. This money will be used to help hopefully send someone to the IGRU AGM, which will happen next year. So not the first one that's happening in July 2019, but the one that will happen in 2020. So we are anticipating a loss of $2,940. However, this isn't a bad thing considering we've been carrying over around $15,000 for the last couple of years, and considering we're a not-for-profit, this doesn't look good from a CRA standpoint. So we're trying to make roads in order to spend some of the money that we have currently in our bank account. Are there any questions related to the draft budget? Yep. Yep.
If there was a surplus resulting from this year's nationals, for example, because of grant money and stuff, that doesn't apply to the budget?
Correct.
This financial year?
Yeah, so the budget, first of all, the nationals budget is completely separate from this general accounting budget. So a surplus would be held in the nationals account, which is separate from the general account, and would be directly applied to changes that we need to make for next year's nationals. So for example, we anticipate the need to buy electronic devices for a scoring system. So a surplus of money in the nationals budget would allow us to ensure we have all of those electronic devices purchased.
And just the other question was $1,500 for sending people to do judging training. Doesn't seem like very much considering the cost.
So the hope, currently the plan is that we have an individual who will be trained in Alberta and an individual who will be trained in Ontario. So the hope is that the Alberta person, the cost of travel within Alberta wouldn't be very much, but they would be flying to BC. So we're looking at cost of flights, and then the Ontario person, same thing, the cost within Ontario of travel wouldn't be so much, but they would have to fly to Nova Scotia. That's why it's $1,500, but we can make a note to review that and increase it. Okay.
I have to agree with those comments. I think the budget for training and concern is my voice.
I'm a little bit concerned that the budget is too low. I think it's going to take a little bit more funds than anticipated, especially if we're looking at growing the PSOs in parallel to this. We could be looking at other provinces as well. My recommendation would be to look at putting in a one-time levy, even $5 per member, and talking individual members, not the new membership that's being proposed, but to know that that's going to come back and help all of the members. I really think you're going to need a little bit more budget than that to do it well. I know you're looking at how can we do it with the money that we have and the resources that we have. In reality, carrying 15 to 20,000, CRA has no concerns over that. It's bare minimum, really, for what you have. In fact, it's below what's recommended. So my recommendation would be to have a one-time $5 levy, and I'd like to put that for discussion before a motion.
So just to clarify, Denise, you're saying to add extra to the budget, have revenue generated by a one-year, one-time $5 increase to full memberships.
Yeah, I think it would best apply to full memberships.
Okay.
So you're indicating, just so I get this straight, so a full member would now be for this year would be $25 instead of $20.
That's correct. With the hope that it would just be this year and not have to, but it could be a 2 or 3 year process as well. So I think we need to be open-minded. But let's look at, or my suggestion would be looking at it on a 1 year basis, $5. So giving that extra operating revenue, we need to do it to help support the judges trainers, either by giving them an honorarium, a ridiculous amount of work they're going to do, or to help with costs for the dues and work time and so on. I'd be very, very happy with only $5, and I would hesitate if it was a bit higher.
Would you add that to all memberships, so full associate and rec members?
I'm only one person, I actually would rather hear that people listen to that as well.
So the plan, in talks with IGRU, their hope is that all of the judging training will be online modules similar to what World Jump Rope has right now. However, that is not confirmed. They cannot confirm at this time what the judges training will look like.
Okay. I think the 1,500, if you are doing it online, does seem doable.
Yeah.
Right? Because if there's modules and Skype
So Carly, before you speak, I'm just going to explain to everybody. So Carly is currently, I would say, I guess, Ropes Giving Canada's representative on the Technical Congress, and as well, her and Jody have been nominated, or I guess we've appointed them as our delegates at the IGRU AGM in July. So she knows a little bit more about where IGRU is at. Go ahead and talk.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, I believe we're at a position where for 2020, there's likely going to be online modules for judges, but there will also be an in-person component to it as well. So I think it is important to budget for that in-person judge training. We're going to try and get as much of it as we can online, but some I think we should consider and think for in-person training as well.
And just to add to that, Ropes Giving Canada rules are going to be changing, and they're not going to be identical to the IGRU. We're going to be making major changes to our rule system to help align with the IGRU rules, but we're not necessarily just pushing all of our rule system aside and just adopting theirs. So there will be a little bit of extra work involved in judges training beyond whatever the online IGRU modules would be.
And I'd also just like to suggest, if this was feasible, it might not be given in timelines, but if there were judging modules available early, if we're going to have an in-person session, it would be really nice maybe to have the participants of that have already taken some of the online first, and then, because they'll probably generate a lot of questions from that, to make best use of a trainer's time.
So the hope, just to address that, the hope is that the initial judges training will take place at the IGRU AGM in July. However, again, not confirmed.
So I have a question about what Sam was talking about. So RSC isn't completely aligning with IGRU, so then would we have to train possibly like the prospective IGRU judging trainers and retrain all of the Ropes Giving Canada judging trainers? Because that seems a little excessive.
Yeah, no, I think it would be interesting for us to think as a membership about what changes we want to make from what the IGRU is doing, why we want to make those changes. I think IGRU has indicated that they will allow NGBs to use their own rules for 2020 given the short time frame to train judges. But I think moving forward, I would suggest that Ropes Giving Canada should try, for the benefit of our athletes, to keep our rules as close to the IGRU rules as possible. So I don't think, I know Sam that you said that we would be making revisions to the IGRU rules. I think it's important that we are critical of the IGRU rules, that we are engaged with that process. I don't think it's in the best interest of our athletes to make really drastic revisions from those rules. So, and I think maybe to the point of Thomas, we don't want to be going way far away from that. We don't want to remove ourselves too much from that from a judge training standpoint or from an athlete development standpoint.
So we're gonna just table this conversation till we get to the bylaw amendments, just because this is our topic item is budget. Denise, so we made the note to potentially increase the budget. However, the reason why Denise is saying that we need to motion is because if we're going to change, according to our bylaws, if we want to change the cost of membership, we need a 2/3 majority vote from the general membership of the people in attendance at the AGM or a special meeting. So, okay, so that we can discuss it at a board. So if everyone is okay with that, we will take back the potential for a levy to be added to associate and full memberships for the 2019-2020 season, and we will discuss that at a board level. If we're going to call it a levy, then we don't need the general membership to approve it. So we will take that back. Okay, so moving on.
The difference would be that if you could decline somebody membership if they could not
Pay that levy.
Okay.
So just be mindful of that. If they don't want to pay the levy, you cannot decline the membership unless it's then built into the membership fee.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to our next agenda item, appointment of our auditor. So we've been pretty happy with our auditor over the last several years, so the motion on the table is to appoint Erica Banwell as the financial auditor for this season. Can I have the number? According to next.
Sorry, can I be amended to appoint Erica Bagwell to conduct a review engagement of the association and to appoint two internal individuals to perform the audit?
Yeah, I think financial advisor, or some other word other than the word auditor. Because, yeah, auditor is a specific word. Yeah, just accountant, I think, is appropriate.
Okay, so the new motion on the table is to appoint Erica Banwell as the financial accountant. Moved by Courtney Exley. So moved by Courtney Exley. Seconded by Sydney McClellan.
Who then is the auditor, the internal auditors? Do you want to amend that motion to include the appointment of internal auditors by the board? Or do you still need?
Can we just do a separate motion for that part?
As long as that's the intention, yeah.
Okay, so we'll finish the motion that's on the table. Is anyone opposed? Okay, so second motion on the table for the Rope Skipping Canada Board of Directors to appoint two financial auditors. I'm going to add to that. Do I have to? I'm just going to say. So the motion on the table is for the Rope Skipping Canada Board of Directors to appoint two financial auditors.
Two internal auditors.
Internal, yeah.
Two internal. Can I have someone move that motion? Seconder? Anyone opposed? Good, okay, we'll move on. So I'm just going to introduce the members of the Board of Directors one more time. We just have one small change for the next coming year. So all of our director at-large positions will remain the same as we were all elected last year for a 2-year term, but we have a change in the provincial rep. So Jump Rope BC, the provincial rep will still be Emily Whitman. Rope Skipping Alberta, the new provincial rep that was elected in April is Jan Hamilton. The Ontario Rope Skipping Organization rep continues to be Mary Kish. Rope Skipping Association of Nova Scotia, Cameron Short. And the 4 directors at large, myself, Sam, Sarah Dabrowski, and Sarah Miles. Okay, we're going to move on to the amendments to the bylaws. So the proposed amendments to the bylaws were sent out with the notice of the meeting 21 days prior to this meeting on April 26th via electronic communication, and they were posted to the Rope Skipping Canada website on the same day. First motion on the table up for discussion is to approve the amendment to Article 8, Conditions of Membership. So this, and in case you haven't read the amendment to the bylaw, we are proposing to amend our membership bylaws to include incorporated clubs as well as provincial sporting organizations. The reason for this change is currently those two groups of people, so incorporated clubs and provincial sporting organizations, are not currently covered under our Rope Skipping Canada insurance policy. So, for example, if you have a club and your board of directors makes a decision and you get sued, you currently, unless you've purchased your own, have no insurance. So what we are proposing is to extend our current Rope Skipping Canada insurance policy to incorporated clubs. So there are a lot of non-incorporated clubs within our organization, so this would only extend to incorporated clubs and provincial sporting organizations. Our insurance company and underwriter have provided us with a quote of $150 per club or PSO per year, which I'm told from them is a very, very good deal because this would generally cost a couple $100 or more, even $1,000, or even more than $1,000, depending on the insurance company. So the first, for the first amendment to Article 8, it's to include, basically our membership will say that an individual or incorporated club or PSO can be a member. Are there any questions about Article 8 amendment? Can I have someone move the motion? Thomas Cunningham. Seconder? Sydney McClellan. Anyone opposed? Carried. The second amendment to the bylaw is to approve the amendment to Article 14, member voting rights. What we have proposed is that even though clubs and PSOs are paying a membership fee, their membership fee directly covers the cost of the insurance. So we're proposing not to charge them $170, we're proposing just to charge $150. So based on that, our rationale for the member voting rights is to not allow clubs and PSOs voting rights based on their, I lied. I'm going to pull it up because I don't want to lie to you. The PSOs for sure, we have said no voting rights because we feel that they are represented by their members as well as the clubs, and each individual club will be provided with one vote. So if you're an incorporated club and you pay your $150, you would be entitled to one additional vote. The PSOs we feel are represented by those clubs and their general membership that are also members, and we have not written in that they would get a vote. Any questions? Yep.
Let's say, like the Wigan Leapers. So their club wouldn't have a vote, it would just be their members.
The club would get one vote,
Okay.
one additional vote.
One additional.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Orso would not get a vote. Because if you look at our board structure, each provincial sporting organization also has a member who they have elected and appointed. So their vote is represented on the board already. And then additionally, their club is getting a vote, and their members within their club are getting a vote. And additionally, we're charging $150, but the $150 is for a service per se, and not, and there's nothing else that comes along with it, if that makes sense. Any other questions?
Sorry, I just need to make sure that my understanding of the Canadian Not-for-Profit Corporations Act is correct. Even though the provincial sport organizations have no voting rights, there are certain conditions under which a PSO would, and I believe that does include constitutional changes. Is it not?
Yeah, it would be like the recreational and, anybody being a member does have the right to the constitutional and bylaw change.
I'm just confused because then 14.5 and 14.6
It would need to be amended.
seem to be a conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just purely then to adhere to the Corporations Act would overrule anyways, but just maybe to make that clear. And even if you just amended to say as permitted or have no voting rights except as permitted under the Canadian Not-for-Profit Corporations Act.
The same wording that it has for our associate and recreational members can be applied to the PSO tier of membership. And then the wording for the club membership would be the same as full member. Hi, Carolyn. For anyone wondering, I've hit 190% of my step goal today. probably an extra 10%. I'll get the 200 before the end of the meeting.
So I'm going to make the change to the proposed amendment to the bylaw to 14.5, where it currently states a provincial sport organization membership carries no voting rights. This will be changed to carries
Limited voting rights as defined in the Canadian Not-for-Profit Act. Is that what it says for rec members?
The wording that you had to do was fine.
Yeah.
Maybe not-for-profit corporation.
Yeah, just use that same wording from the recreational membership change there.
So the motion on the table would actually be to approve the amendment to Article 14, member voting rights, as amended. Can I have a mover
Denise?
and a seconder? Cheryl?
Maybe.
Cheryl, Ginny.
Cheryl. Anyone opposed? Carried. Okay, last amendment to the bylaw. So I'm actually, before I show the amendment, I'm actually going to show you the what it says. So I will explain this amendment to the bylaws the best I can. A condition of membership to the International Jump Rope Union is that our constitution or our bylaws accept the International Jump Rope Union as the sole governing international body for rope skipping. Additionally, our bylaws must indicate that we abide by or will abide by the World Anti-Doping Agency Code of Conduct, or code as it's referred to. So in the fall of 2019, when we were applying for membership with the International Jump Rope Union, the Rope Skipping Canada Board of Directors submitted a letter to the IGRU indicating that we had the intent to change our bylaws to show that we accept them as the sole international governing body, and that we would also amend our bylaws to show that we will accept the World Anti-Doping Agency Code. So the motion that is put on so basically, in order to maintain membership with IGRU, we have to show this in our bylaws. If we do not have this in our constitution, our membership can be revoked with IGRU. It is the intention of the board to remain as a member of the International Jump Rope Union. We have been accepted as a provisional member, which gives us one full voting right at the AGM and the ability to send 2 delegates to the AGM. So Rope Skipping Canada has appointed 2 delegates, and they will carry 1 vote between the 2 of them. So it is our intent to remain a member of their organization in the future, and so in order to do that, we need to change our bylaws to show that we accept them as the international sport governing body, and so this is how the new bylaws will read. And so the motion on the table is to approve the addition and amendment to Article 34, international sport participation. Are there any questions?
Sorry, I'm a parliamentarian, I have to. 2 housekeeping notes on that one. I think it's important to correct them while you're getting them approved anyways. International Jump Rope Union, the argument's capitalization and consistency with references to provincial, national, and international, either all capitalized or lowercase. Doesn't change the intention of the meaning.
Any other questions?
My question was, you said you were a provisional it would cease to become provisional and become.
Yep. So right now, the IGRU has 3 different memberships within their organization: observational, provisional, and full. Actually, I'll start at the beginning because that's what we were originally approved for. So originally, we received observational membership. Observational membership allows you to attend the AGM and attend events, but it does not give you a voting right when it comes to the organization itself. The observational membership was upgraded to provisional membership because we were able to show that we are a recognized not-for-profit within our country. So when we were able to show that we are a recognized not-for-profit, we were upgraded to provisional membership. The difference between provisional and observational is that crucial vote at the AGM. The big step is to full membership. Full membership with the IGRU is what we currently have. We are a not-for-profit. We change our bylaws, we pay our membership fee. The biggest difference between provisional and full is that in order to obtain full membership, the organization has to be recognized by the highest sporting body in the country, which in our case would be Sport Canada, within 2 years. So, in order for us to obtain recognition from Sport Canada, we need to have 5,000 registered members and have 8 provincial sporting organizations. Hence why we've allocated $7,500 towards growing our sport in our country. The board of directors has sent communication to IGRU indicating that the 2-year time frame is unachievable for us. I've gone back and forth a lot with Sport Canada, mostly in terms of the fact that the membership growth we would need. We're currently sitting at 1,452 members and 4 registered provincial sporting organizations. So we need 4 additional provincial sporting organizations and 3,500 members additionally. So the question that we've sent back to them is, what will happen in 2 years if we don't meet that? So the answer that we've received back is, the reason why there is a 2-year time frame on this is because when IGRU received GAFE, which is the General Sport, International Sport, I don't really know the exact GAFE is the acronym. When they received GAFE's observational status, they have to show growth in the country, or in the world, sorry. So in order for them to maintain their observational status, which eventually their hope, I guess, is to lead to Olympic status, is they have to have 80 registered countries, or member countries, that have full membership, and all of those 80 countries have to be recognized by the highest sporting governing body in their country. So, for Antigua, it's very easy. They're already they're registered. For example, in Cuba, they say we have 100 members, and their country is like, yeah, great for you. For us, when we're competing with other sports that have 800,000 members, like hockey, and 600,000, like figure skating, it's a bit of a different story. So when we went back to IGRU, they have basically said, at the end of the 2 years, you won't just be left out to dry. Everything will be kind of reevaluated. You'll have to show, so you'll see in the membership report this year that when I presented the membership data, I showed last year's data versus this year's data to show that we have a growth, because as we move forward, we have to continuously show that we are growing. We're working towards our 5,000 members. We're working towards our 8 PSOs. So we won't just be cut off at the knees, but we do have to show that we're trying to grow. GAFE is Global Association of International Sports Federations. Observational status, once you get higher status within that, that's how you get recognition and potential for addition to the Olympic Games. Any other questions about the motion that is on the table? Okay, can we have someone to move the motion? Thomas Cunningham. Seconder? Jody, put your hand up. Jody Harrison. Anyone opposed? Great news. Good job. This is very exciting for us. After the AGMs, we've kind of during the meeting, we can talk a little bit more about Sport Canada and IGRU and kind of where we're going. Okay, last kind of important thing that's on our agenda. So as I mentioned, according to our bylaws, in order to change our membership structure or fees, we have to have it presented at the AGM and have it voted on. So as we discussed, we are proposing to add the club and provincial sport organization membership to our membership structure for a cost of $150 dollars per club or province per year. Again, you'll see in this motion, it only applies to incorporated clubs. So if your club is not incorporated, you do not register and you do not receive the insurance. Okay, so the motion on the table to approve the addition of a club and provincial sport organization membership in the RSC membership structure open to all incorporated clubs and provincial sport organizations at a cost of $150 per club or province per year. Can I have someone move the motion? Courtney? Yeah, so when I was speaking with our insurance company, they have indicated that according to them and their underwriter, what they will accept is an incorporated not-for-profit status or incorporated, like if you're a business and you have a corporation's number, then if you can provide proof of those two numbers, either the not-for-profit or the business number, then that will suffice for their insurance purposes. So this is how the insurance, I know nothing about insurance, so the man was nice enough to explain to me what it means to be not incorporated, and the layman's terms he used for me is if you're a not incorporated club, you're just a bunch of people anyway, so your RSC membership would cover you if something happened at your club. So because your club is not incorporated, if someone, for example, sued you, they would just sue you as an individual, and you're covered under our blanket insurance policy as a member. That was the layman's terms he gave me, so I couldn't make it more professional.
So basically, yeah, if you're not incorporated, you're not an entity that is suable anyway, so it'd be irrelevant or redundant.
Can I have someone move the motion? Courtney? Can I have someone second? Jenna? Okay. Anyone opposed? Good, okay, so that concludes our formal business. So the motion on the table to adjourn the 2019 Rope Skipping Canada Annual General Meeting. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we don't need someone to second, we just need someone to move. Good, so that concludes the formal kind of business of our meeting. So I'm going to start with a couple, the first thing I'm going to start with to open up the discussion topic. Mostly I'm going to bring this up because I've been the one doing this year as the registrar. I have been going through every person's registration and coaching information. Sorry, I'm just going to pull it up here. So I just want to present this so that it's very clear what is required as of September 1st, 2019 for all coaches. So as you know, this year, Rope Skipping Canada implemented new coaching requirements. We are doing this, one, for the betterment of our sport, two, because we also cannot get Sport Canada status without some sort of minimum coaching requirement. So, in order to get Sport Canada status, we are slowly but surely implementing club coaching requirements. So, this is the wrong one, sorry. So, again, next year, so this year was kind of a transition year where we implemented basic, this is kind of what you need to have. Next year, we're going to get a little bit more strict in terms of what each person requires. So we have outlined this and posted it on our website. It's been posted since April 18th, 2019. So we've broken it down based on ages because we know that in clubs, not everyone is 18 years of age or older. So we've broken it down, coaches 15 years of age and under, we have decided that they are not required to have any certification. However, we would encourage that if they do want to go on to the coach.ca website and take their coach initiation in sport or they're making ethical decisions, that they can do that. Coaches 16 to 17 years of age must have their first aid, CPRC or higher, making ethical decisions sport module and coach initiation in sport. Please be aware of the requirement for standard first aid and CPRC. This year we did accept individuals who submitted occupational or emergency first aid. However, next year we will not accept that. So if you do not have standard first aid or higher, so if you're a paramedic and you can show your paramedic license, then we will accept that. Or if you have first aid healthcare provider, that would be considered higher than standard first aid. So just be aware, it is standard first aid and CPRC. And then for coaches 18 years of age and older, obviously anyone who's 18 years of age or older can obtain a criminal record check. So they will be required to have that criminal record check with their vulnerable sector check and then the modules and the first aid. It is posted there. It should be. I will post them, yeah.
It's probably in the download section.
So yeah, it's under downloads and yeah, on the left-hand side, coaching requirements, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll go in and change that. Are there any questions?
So the making ethical decisions and the coach initiation, is that one of those courses where you take it once, or is there going to be you need to do it just one time?
Both the sport modules are one time, and then the first aid is every 3 years.
Maybe just a consideration under your wording, especially the completion of the module for MED. It's the module and the test, because I know that's come up as an issue already.
Any other questions? Okay, great. That means there will be no problems on September 1st, right? With that being said, last year at the AGM, we did present that we have changed our membership year. So previously our membership year was January 1st to December 31st. To make our lives a little bit easier in terms of insurance certificates and registrations and tracking registrations, we changed our membership year at the last AGM to September 1st till August 31st. So what that means is if your club has a practice on September 2nd, you need to make sure that you submit your registration before September 2nd in order to be insured under our current insurance policy. So if you don't typically register people before your first practice, in terms of an insurance and liability standpoint, I would highly encourage you to try to register them before they come for their first practice. Alternatively, we do have the 1 day membership that you can pay for, and then you have 48 hours to submit payment and registration for that, so that would cover them. Otherwise, please try to submit your registrations before your first practice. Mary made a good point. She said to put a timeline on it because otherwise you'll get them the day before. So if you're a club administrator, I will beg you to please plan ahead because we are only one person that does the registration and there's 1,500 of you, and to process the registrations takes time. So if your practice is on September 2nd, in order for us to have our membership database updated, it doesn't happen. If you submit it on September 1st or August 31st, it's probably not going to get processed right away. So please plan ahead.
why you make this change, because now teams are in like a major crunch, so instead of having a couple months to get registered and being covered, we have no time.
Yeah, so we presented the change at the last AGM, mostly from an administrative standpoint because we're a volunteer board. The volume of redoing insurance certificates in September and then doing them again in January and processing registrations for clubs that some clubs, I would say the majority of clubs register in September, and then there's a handful of clubs that re-register in December. So from an administrative standpoint, and additionally to follow the competition season. So we changed our membership year to follow what would be a typical, I guess, competition year. So most clubs start September, October, and they go all the way until August. So we changed it at the last AGM. Yeah.
So are you going to have the waivers and everything we need to sign ready, like, well?
August
in advance?
1st. It will be August 1st. So registration will open August 1st, so you'll have 4 weeks or 30 days to get your registration submitted. Yeah, they'll be up. Everything will be up August 1st, yeah. Probably before August 31st, actually. The registration's ready to go, and so is the waiver, so we just have to put the link on the website. Any other questions? Okay, Thomas, I think, is itching, so we'll pass it over to him.
So I just have a quick discussion topic. Seeing as the international organization there's only one now, and it has chosen to use jump rope as its term and its name. In my personal opinion, as a nation, we should be sort of transitioning there as well, rather than rope skipping. I know BC, we are jump rope British Columbia. So that's my personal opinion. I don't know how others feel about it, but I just feel it's something to bring up to people to think about.
I will say I agree with you, but I will also say that I have been in talks with the Corporations Canada, and our actual legal name is still Canadian Rope Skipping Federation. And I looked, recently I actually looked to change that with Corporations Canada, and it is not an easy process. Yes, so we looked to try to change it to just Rope Skipping Canada, and it wasn't the easiest process, but it could be something we add to our task list.
Canada jump rope.
Just to add like the administrative side of things to that, it would be a major financial thing for us to change that. Like we would be spending thousands of dollars on rebranding our ribbons and medals and all the inventory that's currently labeled Rope Skipping Canada.
So in terms of ribbons and medals, I noticed that the ribbons this year had Olds Alberta 2019, so we can't reuse those. So. Oh, that's just participation? Oh, okay, sorry.
We have a large inventory of ribbons and medals. Of ribbons? I thought we just did it last year.
So it can be something, we do have someone who has, or I received a contact information for a graphic designer, so who might be willing to help us for inexpensive, but that will be added to the task list to discuss. Would you like to be the chair of a committee, rebranding committee? I like to delegate. I'm pretty good at delegating. Are there any other questions? Just a couple of other things. So we are trying to move away from relying solely on email. Mostly because over Christmas, the general manager and I got hundreds of emails, and I had a slight mental breakdown about the number of emails in my inbox. So on our Rope Skipping Canada page, I just want to highlight a couple of things that you will see. If you are in need of an insurance certificate, instead of emailing us, you can easily submit this Rope Skipping Canada insurance request form. You can put your name of your club, your email. Oh, don't really have to.
You get the picture.
Yes.
Fill in the information.
On the next sheet, you'll see it says the name of the facility, the address that you need, so on and so forth. For those of you who have requested insurance certificates this year to include your club name that we couldn't do because you're not a member, next year, if your club registers as a club and pays your $150, then your name can appear on the insurance certificate. Any questions about that one?
Sorry, I haven't looked at it, but I know there's often requests to have certain facilities named.
Yes, so it says, so a lot of people say they need the school board and the facility. So on the form it says, list your school board, if applicable, list the facility name, and it's like facility 1, address, facility 2, address, facility 3, and then it nicely populates an Excel spreadsheet that I just sent to the insurance provider, which he appreciates. Next thing is the sanction form. So part of our strategic plan is to try to obviously grow our membership and grow our sport across the country. So we are firstly trying to track all community participation, any event that you go to. So we have created the RC sanction form. So this sanction form, 1, allows us to track what our clubs are doing and allows us to see our nationwide representation. But 2, it also allows us to see where your club is participating. So for example, if Emily's club goes to a demo and one of her athletes get injured and then they need to submit a claim to our insurance company, we can say, yes, we knew that they were at this demo, they have submitted a sanction form. They were participating in an official sanctioned event by Rope Skipping Canada. This isn't to say that you need to sanction everything. Jana actually does. She submits every single demo that we do for Jump Rope for Heart and every single school demo we do and parade and everything. She submits one. So it really allows us to see where clubs are going, what they're doing, and part of our strategic plan is to try to track how many community skipping events we're doing across the country in a year. So,
Like, if you have like a whole bunch of jump rope park shows planned out, can you go in and just do them all at once?
I think you have to submit a separate. Yeah, you can, but you have to do a separate one for each one. Yeah. I'm not going to say it's required, but for insurance purposes, it's really important. So if an athlete gets injured and then you come to the insurance company and say, my athlete got injured at this demo over here, the first thing the insurance company is going to do is they're going to come to us and say, is this an official event sanctioned by Rope Skipping Canada?
I would say you should just get an insurance certificate for that facility and deem all of those things part of your regular skipping activities. So if you have multiple facilities, just request multiple certificates.
And for last minute community requests that we get, how long does it take to get that certificate?
On the website, I have 14 days, mostly because I don't want it to take up my whole life. But if you really need it, I do check it every day. Yeah. I will put a caveat on there that if for some reason, like the people who check the sanction forms or the insurance stuff, if they're going to be away, we do try to put an out of office on our Rope Skipping Canada email addresses. So the biggest thing that I would say is if you're submitting it and you need it like right away, also send us an email because then we know, okay, we need to check it. And then also at that time, if you send an email and you get an out of office, then you can know, oh, they're going to be away. That's why we say 14 days. The insurance company has been really, really great in terms of if I send it to them, usually I can get it back within an hour or at least 24 hours. But again, if they're away, so if they're away and if one of us is away, then it could take up to 2 weeks.
So just going back a sec, if someone gets injured at a demo you're doing, the insurance company comes to RSA and says, was this a formally sanctioned event? Are you saying that RSC will say no if we haven't filled in a sanction thing, and yes if we have?
Well, we wouldn't know. So unless it's filled in, we don't know if it's an official event or not.
So
So
basically,
it's a way to cover your butt, basically. Because if it's not on that form, I can say, I don't know if it was. Yeah. Well, we would say no, which we would say I don't know, which the insurance company would take as a no.
yeah, and if you fill out a sanction form, the only way that it would not be sanctioned if it was something outside of the scope of what we would deem appropriate, I guess. Like if you're doing a demonstration at a school or whatever, we would never not sanction that. It's like if we were going to go do a demo on top of a tightrope across a building, we probably wouldn't sanction that. So for 99.99 and onward, it's going to get sanctioned. It's just a paperwork thing to cover us in case something significant happened.
We've only actually had one insurance claim in the last foreseeable, like as long as we've gone back, so it hasn't really been an issue, but in today's day and age with liability and insurance, it's important to cover our bases.
I just want to clarify with sanctioning, so when you fill in the form, are you, it's not, you don't send a certificate, it's just a verbal or
So the only
an
way,
email or something that says,
yeah, so you'll get, like, when you press submit, you'll get a thing saying, your event is now sanctioned. The only way that you, like, if you get an email from one of us saying, what are you doing? That's because we've looked at the sanction and it said, we're going to ride bulls and jump rope while we're riding bulls. Then we would say, oh, that's not really a rope skipping activity. So the only time you'll get you'll get an email from us about your sanction is if it's not an event that we would sanction. Otherwise, you get a little notification that comes out saying, thank you for your submission. Your event is now sanctioned. Any other questions? So just the only other thing that we would like to discuss, I would really encourage everybody, you'll see on our website right here, all of our board meeting minutes are posted in 12-month increments. So for the last 12 months, all of our board meeting minutes, once they are approved, get posted on our website. You will see if you go back to the board meeting minutes that we have discussed the IGRU 2020 World Championships and what the qualifying structure for that will look like from a Canadian perspective. So if you're not aware, the deadline to register for the IGRU World Championships will be sometime between March 15th and April 15th, 2020. So what that means is obviously our national championships happens after that deadline. We have received permission from IGRU along with a couple of other countries. France for sure has also received the same permission to register our athletes late. So we will host our national championships the same way that we always have in May on the long weekend, and we will, I would anticipate basically what will happen is that day you will need to register and pay your money because we will have probably 24 hours to submit our registration to IGRU. So we've received permission to keep our national championships on the May long weekend, so next year we're going back to BC. So moving forward, as the board kind of moves forward into the IGRU new qualifying structure, we will be kind of discussing different ways, because that permission to register late has only been granted for 1 year and will not be granted in the future. So our plan is not to change our date. We've discussed it. We will likely fall in line with whatever other country does, in that they register or they qualify sort of the year previous to that year. So what that would mean would be in May 2021, you would be qualifying for July 2022 World Championships, which is what every other country in the world does. They qualify the year previous for the next year. Yeah, so what basically you qualify in, as I understand it in talking with other NSOs, is that you qualify as you qualify. If you change your age group, then you don't qualify. What they do, so yeah, what other, so IGRU does not apply to 13, 14. So if it's 15, 17, and then the next year they're 18, it's my understanding, and I've only talked to, Harley, you can go ahead.
Here you go,
She
Carly.
probably knows more than I do.
Well, no, I do think this is something we should consider about age categories going forward, because the World Championship is going to be 15 plus and there'll be an age deadline. So again, if we're qualifying people in 2021 for 2022, how are we going to do that when there will be an age cutoff for the 15 plus? And then also there is a junior world, which would take into consideration our 12 to 14-year-old athletes. And again, there's going to be an age cutoff. So it is just something for us to consider as a national organization. If we're going to plan to do our qualifier in the off year, how will we account for the fact that our athletes are aging every year? So I think it is a valid conversation to have.
So I just want a quick clarification on what Carly was talking about. Has it been confirmed whether or not IGRU will be using age groups, or will it just be 15 plus, like Carly mentioned, for the World Championships? So
We have not been told, but Carly sits on the technical bumper, so she would know, be the best
Yeah,
person.
so the way it's looking right now is that for the World Championship, it will be a 15 plus. For 2020, we're looking to kind of grandfather in athletes who are 14 to be eligible to compete in the 15 plus category for the World Championships, and then there will also be a Junior World Championships that will have 12 to 14-year-olds eligible to compete at that, but anyone under the age of 12 would not be able to compete. We're looking now, because it was just brought up at our last meeting, that there may be teams where our age cutoff deadline in the most recent rule book that we published was an August 31st deadline, but FISAC has always used a December 31st deadline, so there could be athletes who are 11 and turning 12 within the year who would be eligible to compete, and how are we going to accommodate those athletes? So we're looking into that now.
So, alright, so another kind of question for Carly. I know I asked Emily earlier and she wasn't completely clear. Do we have any idea as to how many members or how many numbers that will qualify for the IGRU?
We haven't been told that yet. I've been pushing to get that number. Essentially, I think what's going to happen is IGRU is going to give a base number to each provisional and full member country. I'm hoping, and I've been pushing, that that number needs to be released for Norway, so that we as NGBs have an idea of what we're doing moving into qualifyings. And then once they start seeing how many people are coming, they're going to start rolling out additional spots. So it seems like it's going to be like you are coming, more spots will open up, and then they're going to roll out more spots for the countries that are coming. Does that make sense?
If I were to guess, based on my talks with the Pan American Rope Skipping Organization and the individuals at IJRU, it's going to be based on our provisional membership, so we likely won't get as many spots as a full member, otherwise what's the point of being a full member? And they've also indicated that their goal is to make the competition not take 20 days or whatever, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's not very many spots.
Canada, because in IJRU's constitution it says that there's really no difference between the full and provisional members. So if they're saying they're going to give more spots to a full member, I might push back and say, where does it say that? So I think if that is what they decide to do, Canada and any other country that's listed right now as a provisional member should say, actually, that's nowhere in your constitution right now. So, no.
Carly and I have had a very lengthy chat about the IJRU Constitution, and if you haven't read it, please feel free to do so. There are many gaps in the IJRU Constitution, and thanks to Carly and the work of the IJRU task group, we have actually sent back, I guess you would call them comments or concerns regarding the Constitution. Other countries have done the same. They have received many things from most countries, I would say. We have received notice that our concerns are being heard and looked at, but no ratification or answers to those questions.
So I think the big takeaway with all the IJRU stuff is there's still a lot up in the air. So please be patient with us in adapting whatever the IJRU drops on us over time and trying to integrate that and make these changes that are going to be required for us. But it's going to be a lot of work, and there's going to be stuff that many of us may disagree on, but it's going to be a lot of transitioning and a lot of time and going through these growing pains, both nationally and internationally. So just please be aware that we're doing the best we have with the information we're given. We're not concealing anything. We don't know anything that we haven't shared with you. It's all still up in the air. Carly, being on the technical congress, still doesn't know these main, answers to these fundamental questions. So it's going to be 2019, 2020 is going to be a wild year. So please be flexible and ready to accommodate the changes that will come.
Hi, Carly, did you get any indication of when they're going to let people know where the competition will be?
They have no idea.
Are you holding the mic up? I don't know when they're going to release that information. I'm assuming my guess would be kind of how they've typically been doing it, which is at the Worlds prior to. So I'm assuming we might find out around Norway when that competition is taking place. I'm assuming they're going to release something about 2020. I don't know where it is.
I have asked and asked and asked again where it is, and they won't tell me. So I did mention before that the rope skipping board has delegated 2 individuals, so Carly being one, and then Jody, who represents Camrose in Alberta. So they will be attending the AGM on our behalf. They get their one vote between the 2 of them. So we will be making sure that they are voting and asking. Carly's very good. She asks the right questions, and she knows the Constitution like the back of her hand. So it's really good. And the hope is that they're going to receive some sort of judging training while they're in Norway. Hopefully, they're kind of slow, so hopefully they let us know that that's going to happen. The other kind of caveat to this is just briefly, the Pan American Rope Skipping Organization, which includes us, the U.S. and Mexico and all the South American countries. So they are forming an organization to which we are currently a part of. We do not need to pay a membership fee for that. Essentially, currently how it's working is if we have received membership status with IGRU, we automatically receive membership status to that organization. Their intent is to host a championship event on the off year of Worlds. However, the details surrounding that are few and far between and quite sparse. So there is talks. The emails kind of keep coming in, but the emails are quite vague and don't really include much information. So as we get information, we will discuss it at the board level and disseminate as best as possible. And to that end, if you have not already subscribed to our Rope Skipping Canada newsletter, part of our strategic plan is to have better communication. Lots of people actually unsubscribe the first time they get the email, so if you have people in your club that say they don't get the letter, please tell them to subscribe. And if you're currently not getting the letter, we have inputted the emails as we've received them with your membership, so you were automatically put in. So if there was a spelling mistake in your email, then it probably isn't actually going to you. So if you're not getting the Rope Skipping Canada email newsletter, please go on to, you can email me and I can add you in, or you can go on to, we can put a link on our website so that you can subscribe to it.
And just in general, just send emails to us if you have questions about things. Don't wait, just email and we'll do our best to answer. It'll likely take the month to answer, unless it's a straightforward thing that we've already established an answer for, but we would take your email, address it at our meeting, talk about it, and then we would reply to you after the board meeting. We meet every second Sunday of each month, so the closer to that day you send the email, the sooner you'll get a response, but yeah, we do receive emails and we talk about them at our meetings. I think everyone's getting that, ready to go to bed.
In Canada, looking into, obviously if you're anticipating growth, more provinces, what are you doing about the length of your competition days? They're kind of unreasonable, especially for 10 and unders.
I will actually address that because on our next meeting agenda that the board hasn't seen, we will be discussing national tournament committee or national tournament qualification structure. So to my surprise, we actually don't have a document that says this is how many individuals the provinces get to submit, which I didn't know.
We do that.
It's
We have it in
it's in the rule book. We just don't have like a qualifying structure policy,
Document.
like a document, which most other sports have. So it's on our agenda to talk about. I would say that unless we go to a 5 or 6 day competition, which would significantly impact cost of registration, facility costs, like the cost would just keep going up and up. The only way to really trim down the competition days is to reduce the number of individuals. But I will say, and Sarah can probably attest to this, in other sports, they start at 7 in the morning and go till 11 at night. So if anyone here is a figure skater, their competitions literally go from 7 in the morning until like 10 or 11 at night. So just as devil's advocate, I'm not saying I want to be here that long, but I'm just saying in other sports, Jana's a dance teacher, at their dance competitions, they go. Yeah, for sure. If you have suggestions, send them our way. We're only 8 people. I have said this a million times this year. Most of us have full-time jobs. We do the best we can as a volunteer board. And to that extent, the one thing I will plug is if you want to volunteer and you want to be on a committee, send us your name. Or you want to volunteer someone to do it, send us their name.
And this is what I was referring to way back earlier when Thomas made the comment about IGRU rules. These are the things that we have to address, because if we just straight up take everything IGRU does, not all of those things are going to be age appropriate for our U10s. Are we going to have every single one of those events for our U10s? I can't be the decider of that, but my gut would say probably not. So there would be adjustments, not in judging, but in competition structure and general rules, to address those types of things, and to address your email in particular. We have received your email, and it's going on the next meeting agenda.
I will also say that
Carly says she agrees.
I will also say that we are the only NSO that I am aware of that must meet a long-term athlete development requirement to obtain Sport Canada status. So last year, Carly can maybe attest to this, last year when I went to Belgium to the URSO rope skipping conference and I presented our long-term athlete development matrix, every single country that was there was like, wow, this is great, we need something like this. And I was like, don't you need to have this? Belgium, you have 7,000 skippers, don't you need to have this to be a NSO? And they said, no, we've never seen it. Actually, the coaches from Belgium were like, we need this. We need to not treat our 7-year-old like they're 15. So we, up to my knowledge, we are the only NSO that does require a long-term athlete development model in order to meet Sport Canada requirements. So we're battling two separate things here. We have to meet Sport Canada requirements to maintain our membership, but we also have to meet what they want us to do. So we have to tread lightly, because if we don't follow long-term athlete development, Sport Canada won't give us recognition either.
And just to reiterate our place in the world of rope skipping, we do a lot of very good things in Canada that other countries don't, that we don't necessarily see being reflected in like athlete performances, right? We tend to see like, well, this country has a lot of really good skippers, they must be doing something really well. A lot of countries around the world do not have the same structure and connection with the larger sporting community and world. So we are sort of leaders in this. So I want you to know that Canada sits at a very privileged position in the world of rope skipping. Even though we're small, we do the things right. We're not just going with the flow and winging it like some countries actually are. Even the really big ones are just sort of winging it. We're doing a good thing. We're making connections with important people in the grander sporting world. So we should acknowledge that and be proud of that we're being leaders in certain ways and not just following the crowd.
I just also wanted to mention, just being involved with the tournament committee, that we're bound by the rule book. We have to operate within the rule book. So in the rule book right now, X number of people qualify. There's X number of events, and it is a real challenge and something we're not like super happy about, having long days. But I think another unique thing about our sport that's different from dance, from track and field, from many other sporting events I've attended, is that our athletes come at the start of the day and stay until the end. And many of our athletes are also coaches. So if we said, well, we'll just like do the first morning is all the events for the younger kids and then they're done, that brings all our older athletes who have to compete in the afternoon to be coaches. So that's a good thing about our sport. And we also encourage our younger athletes to watch the older athletes. So that's a really good thing. But if we can somehow work towards making the days more reasonable, it would be awesome.
Just info@ropeskippingcanada.com goes to the board. That goes, if it's national specific, it would go to the tournament committee. Yeah. Just think back to the days when it was only 2 days long.
So I just have another question, kind of relating to something we talked about before. So there's been a change to the way that you're able to set records in Canada. I was just wondering like why that was changed and like explaining like why the new criteria is necessary to set that record. So now there's a form on the RSC website that it's like up to the athlete to submit the record and get it signed by the tournament director. So you have to have 3 judges that are from different teams.
That form's actually the exact same form that's been on the website. But it's never been followed, yeah.
Okay, so then, that's enough, like, so, yeah, so I was just looking at that, so, like, why is that on there, and should that be changed?
So your question is the exact same question I actually asked when I got sent this form to post on the website, because I was like, what about if you do a event at a provincials? It's not
Yeah,
even,
like, so we
our
just,
provincials, Ontario regionals is listed, but like our Alberta competitions aren't listed. So the board
I think
also on
the
our
attempt
agenda.
was just to say that the board can't take on the responsibility of searching every result from every competition to try to find national records. So it's just the onus is on the person who set the record to submit it. The details of the form I can't really comment on, but I think that's sort of, I think people were complaining that their record wasn't acknowledged, but we didn't even know that they had that score.
Yeah, I think maybe the onus should be on Ropes Leading Canada. I think it's really difficult to ask, a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old or an 18-year-old athlete to ensure that all of the judges in their box are from different countries and that all of the judges.
I'm gonna use Emily's team as an example, actually. So Emily's team attends a Bay Bridge competition in the USA. So if Emily has an athlete that goes there and obtains a record, then Emily comes home as the head coach or coach and submits the form on the athlete's behalf. Oh no, it's not for nationals. Yeah, we'll change that. Yeah, okay. So like at nationals, the national tournament committee is here, they'll do it. But even if it's at provincials, I believe, and someone from provincial can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the provincial coordinator sends it to nationals.
So what we do in BC, because we just went through it this year and updated all our records and found records that had been set last year that weren't awarded. So our system in BC now is Emily and I are kind of looking after the records right now. So any event in BC that's a sanctioned BC event, like our Records Day, Fraser Valley Classic, provincials, we will take care of it just like at nationals to make sure those records are updated and passed on to Mary if they're national records. Anybody who goes to a tournament outside of those typical, like Bainbridge Island, Tournament of Champions, World of Jump Rope, the coach is responsible to come back to one of us and say, we think this is a record. Yeah. And I look on the World Skipping Canada website, I wonder if it's a national record. Well, whatever it says up there, even if it's out of date, I'll just email Mary and say, according to what's on the website, this looks like a record, here's the info. It's my turn.
You're amazing. I love you. Also, I think like if Ropes Leading Canada is saying we sanction World Jump Rope and FISAC and USA Jump Rope events, then I think that any event that RSC sanctions, they have to accept the scores that are set at those events.
Yeah, we do. We do, but so the only event that we track as an organization moving forward, we will track nationals and we will have a team manager at the IGRU World Championships. So we will have representation at those two events. All other events, so if you choose to go to Tuck to Yuck Tuck and compete in the international rope skipping competition, then you have to come back and tell us. So anywhere where we're present, then we will track it. The team manager will track it.
Also, all records set within the boundaries of Canada are sanctioned.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that if it's a provincial competition, the provincial record person or the provincial head official, I don't know what their title is, but
The standards are there so that you can't just set a record at your practice, right? You have to
I understand that. I'm just saying you might need to look at rewording the way the standards are written, because the way they exist right now, it makes it seem like for me to set a record at the Ontario Provincial Championship, I need to make sure that all three judges in the box that I'm in are not from the same team, but that should be a requirement of RSC in terms of sanctioning that event, not me as an athlete competing at that event. So I do think there needs to be work done in terms of changing the form and changing that regulation. Because I agree, Sam, and I agree, Aaron, with what you guys are saying, that like Orso or Ontario Open or whatever, those are sanctioned events, but I should be able to be in any box, regardless of what judges I have in that box, and be able to set a national record in that box. But right now, the way that wording is written in the form, that's not necessarily the case.
That's the responsibility of the people running that competition, is to ensure that they're, of course, of course. Yeah, so, yeah.
We have it,
That's
we
on
have
your
it listed
BSO
as an
too.
action item to change the form.
We are agreeing with you, Greg.
I definitely asked the same question, but at the time it was like, I'm just gonna post it because this is the same form that's been on the website for 5 years.
We just posted one like a month ago. Oh, okay. Just let us know. Yeah, just let us know that there's a link that didn't update or whatever. Sarah DeRossi has something to say? Sarah's been so quiet. How disciplined has she been?
I just wanted to speak to something that people brought up earlier about rules, because in the past, some people have mentioned to me that they're concerned that, they're thinking that all the competitions that happen in Canada have to be done by the same rules. So for example, the way that provincials or regionals or an open competition is run should look exactly like how nationals runs. But I just wanted to kind of emphasize that that's actually not what we're encouraging from a national perspective. The rules that will be RSC rules will be nationals rules. But if you want to do an open competition and have like 4, 5, 30 front crosses or something else that really stimulates athlete development, like for example in Nova Scotia they do a rec competition and they do like pair or partner skipping together. It's really cute. Yeah, double edge, double unders. Those things are totally encouraged by RSC from a development and fun perspective. So don't think that even provincial, like some things in provincials, for the younger kids, they can look different than the way that nationals is run. So just to keep that in mind.
For example,
We have to.
one of our events that we do is
Partner skipping.
and it's actually become pretty popular.
It works on their coordination, interpersonal coordination. It's really nice.
Sam just told me we have to wrap it up because they have to clean the building.
Thank you, everyone.